Noah is a notorious mad prince, but he is deeply in love with the powerless Kate. The little beggar he picked up from the street, from the age of 15 to 25, was pampered to the heavens by him. The man almost gave all his partiality and tenderness to her. Kate loves the violin, so he put aside all his work to accompany her to study music abroad, not caring about losing billions in stocks. To express his love for her, the man sent her luxurious gifts by the cartload and even proposed to her for 999 consecutive days through live broadcasts. To marry her, he endured 3 days of family discipline, finally breaking the class barriers of the wealthy family, and fulfilled his wish to give her a dreamlike wedding, making her the envy of everyone. Yet, this man who loved her so deeply now, for a little lover he had known for only half a year, was making her kneel in the snow wearing only a thin nightgown, just because he believed that Kate forced that woman to block his contact information, causing his little lover to hide away. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. Baby, tell me, what did you say to Mabel? Noah sat across from her, casually watching her with a wine glass in hand. His gaze was colder than the wind and snow, yet his tone was unusually gentle, as if asking her if the current snowscape was beautiful. Kate was numb from the cold. She opened her mouth, her teeth chattering. Noah, I haven't seen Mabel. Noah looked at her, slightly raising the corner of his mouth. Baby, you've been naughty. He beckoned with his finger, and a bodyguard leaned in to hand him a phone, which he then played a video on. In the video, Kate's dying brother has his ventilator removed, his face turning purple from lack of oxygen, his body convulsing uncontrollably. Noah, he's my only family left. Don't hurt him. Kate bursts into tears, clutching Noah's legs. You have to believe me. I really didn't say anything. I don't know where she went. Noah leans forward, his hand brushing away her tears. I remember telling you. Mabel is important to me too. Be good. You have 50 seconds left. Under oxygen deprivation, your brother can only last for 2 minutes. He straightens up, tapping a single finger on the screen. Losing patience, Kate was deeply shaken. Her heart struck heavily. He had indeed said Mabel was important, but she had always refused to believe it. After all, he had once loved her so much. At this moment, Kate suddenly felt ridiculous. She had actually believed she was irreplaceable in his eyes. From beginning to end, she had only met Mabel once, at an auction, where Mabel was a hostess. At that time Mabel stopped her on her way to the lounge, raising her chin to tell Kate to keep her husband in check. Mrs. Miller, I told you I don't like him. Your husband has already caused trouble in my life. It was also then that Kate learned that the interesting little cat Noah always mentioned was Mabel. Mabel was born with a weak left eye and possessed extraordinary artistic talent. She became an internet sensation by portraying herself as a determined, gifted teenage artist despite her disability. But instead of live streaming to sell products, she chose to work part-time like an ordinary person, earning her way through school and working as a server at various events. She was proud and confident, bright and striking, instantly capturing the attention of Noah, the investor. Mabel refused him more. The more Noah fell for her, he pursued her so relentlessly that it became the talk of the town, known to everyone. Kate confronted Noah that very day, and he didn't deny it. The man just held her lightly and said, "It's just a game. My buddies have all played it, but I just wanted to see how much it would take to win her over. Don't worry, sweetheart. I'm just playing with her. You're the one I love the most." Kate still asked him, "What if I don't accept?" The man gently stroked her hair, his tender eyes reflecting her pale face. "Baby, just be a good girl and listen, and you'll always be Mrs. Miller." Kate was speechless, fully aware that she had no right to refuse. She could only wait for Noah to give up. But instead, she heard the news of them being together. Mabel accepted his pursuit without asking for a single cent. But she had a condition. They had to date like a normal couple. Noah gladly agreed, accompanying her for live painting sessions, visiting art exhibitions together, going to amusement parks, eating street food and junk food with her. He would also take her to various events, always sticking together, and he would post about their love on social media like any ordinary guy. Kate felt a knife twist in her heart every time she saw it. She cried, argued, and even brought up divorce. But he never took it to heart, only casually saying, "Be good. I like obedient babies. Don't make a fuss." Kate forced herself to stay calm, to convince herself to believe his words, hoping he would soon tire of it and return to the family. But now Mabel suddenly blocked him without a word, and had previously mentioned meeting Kate. Kate knew this was Mabel's provocation, but she couldn't explain it, and Noah didn't believe her. Baby. Still not talking. Little brother doesn't have much time left. 10, 9, 8. Noah bent down, close to Kate, his warm breath brushing against her ear. Yet it made her feel unbearably cold. I said. She came to her senses, the internal tearing making her throat tight, and for the first time, she lied to Noah. I told her to leave you, to stop bothering you. Kate broke down emotionally, her tears blurring her vision. She gradually loosened her grip on Noah's arm until it fell limply to her side. Noah saw her shattered state and gently touched her cold cheek to comfort her. Baby, don't make decisions on your own in the future. Think more about your brother. Kate's expression became numb. She nodded mechanically, feeling something inside her shatter, the pain spreading throughout her body. Her body swayed precariously, waves of dizziness washing over her, and she collapsed to the ground. In that instant of falling, she felt a warm sensation between her legs. At that moment, Noah's subordinates rushed in, saying they had found Mabel and that she was currently teaching a group of disabled children to paint. The subordinate glanced at Kate and continued, explaining that Mrs. Miller had forbidden Mabel from meeting Noah again, so Noah was asked not to go looking for her. Noah showed a delighted expression, ignoring the latter part of the message. He immediately arranged for Mabel to trend on social media, praising her for being beautiful and kind-hearted. As for Kate on the ground, he didn't even glance at her. Noah, my stomach hurts. In her unbearable pain, Kate reached out to Noah's retreating figure, but he gradually moved further away and disappeared from her sight. After getting into the car, Noah merely called the butler to have Kate locked in the meditation room for reflection. The butler, seeing Kate lying in the snow with a pool of crimson beneath her, hurriedly said, Madam seems to have had a miscarriage. She's lost a lot of blood. Noah's face darkened instantly as he said coldly, She's pregnant. She's getting more and more disobedient. This child shouldn't exist. The head servant sighed deeply, not daring to disobey Noah's orders, and carried Kate into the meditation room. Kate was painfully awakened, the agony of her abdomen tearing at her nerves. She clearly felt the life of her child slipping away. She crawled to the door and pounded on it with all her strength, shouting hoarsely, Let me out. Take me to the hospital. Save my child. Noah, save our child. Help. After a long time, only the butler's voice came from outside the door. Madam, this child is not in Mr. Noah's plan. Without Mr. Noah's orders, no one dares to send you to the hospital. You'd better behave and reflect in the meditation room from now on. Kate seemed to be drained of all strength. Thinking of Noah's resolute departure, she collapsed to the ground in despair. She just wanted a child that belonged to both of them. Because he didn't want to have a child, she had no right to get pregnant. Now, for the sake of his little lover, he even disregarded her life and death, locking her up while she was pregnant. Kate clutched her abdomen, wanting to cry but unable to, feeling the pain was almost suffocating her. The pain surged in waves, her consciousness gradually fading, and just before she lost consciousness, she whispered softly, Noah, the baby is gone, and I don't want you anymore. Kate woke up again, already in the hospital. She touched her flat abdomen, sadness welling up inside her, realizing her child was truly gone. It seems her relationship with Noah has also come to an end. The door to the ward was pushed open, and she glanced over. Noah held Mabel's hand as they walked in, fingers tightly interlaced. Mabel had a cold gaze, her eyes slightly red, glaring at her with anger. Mrs. Miller, I've already left. Misfortune doesn't extend to family. Why did you still send someone to threaten my parents? Can't you control your own husband? So you bully the vulnerable. Faced with unfounded accusations, Kate instinctively looked towards Noah, whose gaze was fixed on Mabel with admiration, as if she were a precious treasure. Kate felt a sharp pain in her heart. Once, his gaze upon her had been just like this, tender and doting, unwilling to move away even for a moment. He had even held her and said, My wife is the best. No other woman can compare to even a single strand of your hair. But now, from the moment he entered the ward until now, he hadn't even spared her a glance. Kate smiled self-deprecatingly, ignoring Mabel and instead asking Noah, Noah, why didn't you save our child? You should ask yourself why you took it upon yourself to get pregnant. Noah spoke coldly, his authority evident without anger. In this marriage, do I not even have the right to have a child? Knowing the answer already, Kate still asked hopelessly. Noah nodded almost without hesitation, his presence exuding the unyielding authority of a leader. That's right. Kate lowered her head, tears welling up in her eyes. I didn't come here to listen to you discuss the child. Mr. Noah, you promised to give me an explanation. Mabel looked at Noah with a hint of dissatisfaction, always appearing unafraid of authority and genuine in front of Noah. Noah patted her back to soothe her, giving a slightly reproachful look at Kate. Kate, you drove Mabel away, intimidated her parents. You should apologize to her. Meeting Noah's gaze, Kate felt a stifling pain in her chest and couldn't help but defend herself. I didn't do it. I won't apologize. Still causing trouble. I really didn't. Kate shook her head. Noah's eyes darkened, and his expression grew even more grim. He waved his hand toward the door, summoning the bodyguards inside. Will you apologize yourself? Or should I have the bodyguards help you? Noah's gaze was terrifyingly cold. Kate's heart ached, and she stubbornly looked at Noah, betting that he would keep his promise and not harm her. Help the madam, Noah casually instructed. Kate felt as if she had fallen into an ice cellar. She lost. Kate resignedly did not resist, being dragged off the bed by the bodyguards and forced to bow her head to Mabel to apologize. I'm sorry. After saying that, she bit her lips so hard that she tasted blood. Do you accept her apology? Noah curled his lips and looked at Mabel in his arms. Mabel nodded, then looked firm. Mr. Noah, thank you for your kindness. But we're over. My parents wouldn't allow me to be a mistress, and I wouldn't allow my parents to be hurt again. That's easy. Just don't be the other woman. Noah grabbed Mabel by the arm, pulling her into his embrace, and took out his phone to call his lawyer. Prepare a divorce agreement, and give Kate $100 million. Her heart felt like it was being repeatedly sliced. Kate looked at him in disbelief. The man who once risked his life to marry her, now divorcing her for another woman. Noah arrogantly lifted Mabel's chin. After I'm divorced, you'll be my only girlfriend. Then I'll give you one more chance. If you betray me, I'll leave immediately. Mabel hugged Noah, and in the corner he couldn't see, she smugly raised her eyebrows at Kate. Noah smiled indulgently, took her hand, and left, leaving Kate sitting alone on the ground, watching their retreating figures. She smiled softly, a smile that ached with heartbreak, until tears streamed down her face. Not long after, Noah's lawyer arrived with the divorce papers. Madam, Mr. Noah instructs you to sign, but he says this is all a farce, and once he's had his fun, he'll return to the family and still remarry and have children with you. There's $100 million in this card. There are still 2 weeks until your wedding anniversary. After the anniversary, Mr. Noah hopes you'll take the money and go on a trip, giving him enough private space. But don't worry, he'll remarry you when you return. Kate stared blankly at the divorce papers. Noah, did he really think she couldn't live without him? But he was wrong. Once she couldn't live without him because she loved him, but now she didn't want to keep loving him. Kate signed the divorce papers without hesitation, and took the card and the ticket. In the following days, Noah publicly took Mabel to various events. She refused to wear haute couture or jewelry, always opting for a simple solid color dress, either long black straight hair or a high ponytail. Without makeup, like a breath of fresh air in the upper echelons, Noah publicly declared his love, praising her uniqueness, which led many young ladies and socialites to imitate her style, and designers to draw inspiration from her for the new season's collections. To treat Mabel's amblyopia, Noah spent tens of millions to arrange flights and bring in experts from various countries, forming a team for consultation. Congenital amblyopia is irreversible, but they have ways to prevent her condition from worsening. Noah threw a huge tantrum, almost ruining his own eyes to be disabled with her. Kate lay alone in the hospital bed, feeling desolate. She stared at the news of Noah and Mabel showing affection on her phone, and her heart gradually died. It turns out that Noah's love for her could be replicated. He could also do so many crazy things for another woman. Kate went to see her comatose brother. 3 years ago, her brother was involved in a car accident on his way to school. Noah brought in the world's top medical team to save him from the brink of death. But he couldn't wake up and could only survive with the help of machines and medication. At this moment, Kate held her brother's hand, her eyes welling up with tears. Tony, sister is leaving. Before I go, I will take you to another place. I used to think that Noah was my happiness in this life, but I realized I was wrong. Kate seemed to have found an outlet, pouring out all her grievances and sorrows in one go. It was past lunchtime when she finally dried her tears and reluctantly left the hospital. Kate first went to the household registration office to cancel her and her brother's ID, using a special fast track to expedite the process, which would be ready in 7 working days. She then went to the villa that Noah had given her, carefully organizing all the precious gifts she held dear, contacting an auction house to sell them. She then found a small law firm to handle the transfer procedures, returning the villa to Noah. Finally, she returned to the villa and found the gifts she had made for Noah herself, all of which were worthless trinkets. Noah had loved them dearly in the past. Now she threw each item into the fire one by one, and in the roaring flames, flashes of her sweet past with Noah appeared. They had truly loved each other deeply, but that happiness was as fragile as a bubble. Now that the flames had died down, their past had disappeared as well. At some point, she was already in tears. She wiped them away and turned, only to meet the probing gaze of Noah, and the cool demeanor of Mabel. "What are you burning?" Noah looked at her, his expression unreadable. Kate paused, then spoke calmly. "Some things I don't need anymore." Noah nodded nonchalantly and gave an order. "Find that emerald bracelet I gave you before and give it to Mabel." Even though she had already decided to leave, Kate felt a sharp pain in her heart. The bracelet was a family heirloom of the Miller family, passed down only to the eldest daughter-in-law. Now Noah was going to give it to Mabel. Kate curled her fingers slightly, but eventually nodded. "All right, I'll go find it now." They were already divorced, and the bracelet no longer belonged to her. Mabel voluntarily followed Kate upstairs to retrieve the bracelet, her eyes flashing with a hint of jealousy and resentment as she gazed at the dazzling array of clothes and jewelry in the dressing room. Though she maintained a calm exterior, Kate handed the pearwood box to Mabel, not noticing the brief flicker of malice in her eyes. "Kate, you're already divorced. Why haven't you left yet? It's truly despicable." Mabel taunted her from behind. "Don't worry about it. I'll leave." Kate glanced at her indifferently. She would leave this place, leaving everything to Mabel. "Don't act like you're doing me a favor. It wasn't given to me by you. I earned it myself." "Kate, I absolutely won't allow anyone to stand in my way." Mabel showed a different side, her eyes filled with viciousness. She took out the bracelet, slammed it to the ground, and then pushed Kate down the stairs. "Ah!" Kate cried out in surprise, tumbling down the stairs without any defense, hitting her forehead, and blood immediately gushed out. Mabel then sat down, deliberately cutting her own leg with the broken jade. "Mr. Miller, hurry and save Miss Kate." The loud noise startled Noah, who glanced at the blood-covered Kate before, hugged Mabel immediately. His gaze fell on Mabel's bleeding leg, and the man's eyes turned cold. "Did she hurt you?" Mabel nodded without pretense, coldly looking at Kate downstairs. "I know I don't deserve this bracelet, and she'd rather destroy it than give it to me. I just didn't expect her to roll down the stairs and frame me." Noah glanced at Kate and called for a servant to tend to Mabel's wounds. "I'll take you to get your wounds bandaged first. I'll handle this matter." A moment later, Noah had his bodyguards drag Kate to the living room. "Baby, why are you getting more and more disobedient?" Noah looked down at her. "I told you, don't touch her." Kate struggled to prop herself up, meeting his gaze through the blood, and gritted out a few words. "She pushed me down the stairs." Perhaps anticipating Kate would say this, Noah curled his lips in a cold smile. "Why do you keep defying me lately? If you refuse to admit your mistake, then let's have some family discipline." "Noah, why don't you check the surveillance?" Kate struggled in panic. "No need. Mabel wouldn't lie to me. It's you who've been too jealous lately, always provoking me." Noah waved his hand, and the butler brought a cane. Kate trembled uncontrollably. Noah had already favored his lover to such an extent. Slap. No longer giving her a chance to explain, the cane struck her back with brutal force, tearing through flesh and blood, staining her clothes. She bit her lips hard to stifle the pain. In Noah's cold gaze, Kate gave up pleading, closing her eyes in despair as she endured the agonizing blows one after another. Remembering the past, Miller Grandpa had disagreed with Noah marrying her, and had him beaten in the ancestral hall for 3 days and nights, a total of 300 lashes, until he was on the verge of death. Yet he never gave up. Even in his unconscious state, he vowed to marry no one but Kate, loving only her for a lifetime. He said she was more important than his own life and would never let her suffer the slightest grievance. He wanted the whole world to know that Kate was his wife. But now, he was accusing her of false charges and subjecting her to family discipline, all for another woman. "Noah, are you and Mabel really just playing around?" Kate woke up a day later. The wounds on her back had been treated and no longer hurt. Noah sat beside her, smoking absent-mindedly, his cold voice cutting through the haze of smoke. Mabel is angry. You need to appease her. Kate looked at him numbly. Mr. Noah, what do you mean? Hearing her address, Noah immediately darkened his face. He extinguished the cigarette butt and stroked her lips with his ash-covered fingers. Baby, don't be mad at your husband. His eyes glinted with danger. Kate's heart skipped a beat, suddenly recalling Miller's grandfather's warning to her. Noah only likes obedient dogs. If you are determined to stay by his side, you must be prepared to always be an obedient dog. At that time, she didn't understand and only felt that Grandpa Miller was exaggerating to separate them. Now, she somewhat understands Grandpa Miller's words. Noah's love is obsessive and selfish. He is the dominant one, and she can only depend on him. She lowered her eyes, hiding the fear in them, and obediently nodded. I understand. Prepare a piece to perform. Mabel wants to hear a violin solo. Noah gently patted her head with satisfaction and personally applied medicine to her back. Wherever his fingers touched, it was icy and piercing. At night, Kate wore a luxurious champagne-colored gown with full diamond jewelry, and was driven to the venue by her driver. The banquet was held at Miller Group's largest hotel, and nearly the entire upper class was in attendance. The ladies were almost all dressed in simple, refreshing dresses, wearing natural-looking makeup. Kate stood out like a sore thumb. As soon as she appeared, she became the subject of everyone's discussion. Disdain, pity, ridicule, mockery. Is she here to act? A beggar is a beggar. Something that can't be brought into decent company. She's practically hanging all the good stuff she has on herself. Mr. Noah has cast her aside, and now she's trying every trick in the book to win favor. Like a ridiculous clown. Not even as good as a single hair of Miss Mabel. Ugly duckling. Various voices entered her ears. Kate felt extremely oppressed. She remembered attending a party with Noah where someone mocked her for being a former beggar. Noah had that person's mouth sewn up on the spot, threatening that anyone who dared to gossip about her would disappear from the capital. People in their circle are used to riding the waves. Knowing that Noah no longer protected her, they freely gossiped and mocked. It wasn't until Noah and Mabel appeared that their mockery ceased. Kate followed the crowd's gaze and saw Mabel in a light-colored strapless dress, her high ponytail proudly raised. She suddenly understood why Noah treated Mabel differently. Mabel had the shadow of her younger self, when she had been brought into the Miller household, equally at ease and unafraid, never ashamed of being a beggar. Yet it was he who had said he didn't like her bold and carefree demeanor, who had asked her to become obedient and well-behaved. Kate's eyes dimmed, a vague sense of unease in her heart, as she saw everyone fawning over Mabel. She turned and left. Mr. Noah, didn't you say you prepared a show for me? Mabel's arrogant voice rang out. Kate's steps halted, and she stopped in her tracks. Those around carefully observed Noah's expression, as no one had ever dared to speak to him with such an attitude. Even the previously favored Kate had always been cautious and obedient in front of him. Noah didn't care at all, his mouth always carrying a smile, indulging Mabel's arrogance and rudeness. He pulled Mabel into a seat, snapped his fingers, and immediately someone brought a violin towards Kate. Kate turned, taking the violin under the gaze of everyone, gripping it tightly, her eyes piercing through the crowd to look at Noah, her heart growing numb once more. She loved the violin and wanted to join the orchestra, but Noah said that no one but him could listen to her play, that everything about her belonged solely to him. Kate smiled self-deprecatingly. His principles only needed one Mabel to break them. She took a deep breath and played an adagio in G minor. The melodious notes echoed in the air, like the sound of a broken heart. Extremely sorrowful, this piece marked the end of her relationship with Noah. From now on, she would no longer love Noah. Noah frowned. Kate was enveloped in a deep sadness, and he felt an inexplicable irritation and unease. Enough. Mabel suddenly spoke up, interrupting Kate's performance. It's too sad. It's ruining the atmosphere. You were the one who initiated the divorce with Mr. Noah. I didn't force you, so there's no need for you to act pitiful here. Mabel pretended to be straightforward, mocking Kate, meeting her challenging gaze. Kate offered no response, merely lowering her eyes in silence. Mabel felt like a punch had landed on cotton, reluctantly looking at Noah. Mr. Noah, did you bring her here just to torment me? Mabel expressed her displeasure with Noah in front of everyone. The surroundings fell silent, all waiting for Noah to erupt, as he would never allow anyone to be so brazen in his presence. Noah chuckled softly, stroking her cheek. Don't be angry. I'll invite you to the first dance. Mabel turned her face away, a bit displeased, but still accepted Noah's invitation and followed him into the dance floor. Kate raised her eyes and watched the two dancing in the center of the dance floor, her heart surprisingly calm. She put away her violin and turned to leave. Just a few steps away, she was blocked by a few women, and before she could speak, she was dragged to a corner. Mrs. Miller. Oh no. Mr. Noah doesn't want you anymore. Bitch. Do you remember my hand? A woman raised her left arm, her wrist empty. Just because I accidentally touched you, my hand was cut off, and my face. I only said you weren't that good looking, and my face was splashed with acid. A woman took off her mask and glared at her viciously. And my family's company. Just because I said you used to be a beggar. My family's company went bankrupt. Kate felt a slight tremor in her chest. She knew all these were Noah's doing. He protected her with paranoid and ruthless methods. And now that he has lost his favor, she has to bear the revenge of these people. What do you want? She struggled. One of the women suddenly grabbed her hair and slapped her hard. To make you as wretched as me, neither human nor ghost. And see if you still dare to cling to Mr. Noah. Miss Mabel said that whoever can make her suffer unbearably will help that person speak well of them in front of Mr. Noah and receive a reward. Mabel. Kate was shocked and, before she could react, was pinned to the ground. Someone pinched her cheeks, taking turns slapping her face, and then took out a needle they had prepared in advance. They held her fingers in place and viciously stabbed the needle into her nails. Ah! Kate cried out in pain, only to be immediately muffled by one of them. Her fingers were connected to her heart, and she was in so much pain that tears welled up in her eyes, her whole body trembling. While they were switching positions, he suddenly pushed away the person beside him and got up to run forward. Kate stumbled, knocking over the champagne tower in front of her, the loud noise drawing everyone's attention. She fell awkwardly among the shards of glass, red wine mixed with blood soaking through her dress. Miss Kate, are you using a self-inflicted tactic? Mabel walked over, disdainfully speaking. Mabel, you arranged for someone to deliberately harm me. Kate gritted her teeth. I hurt you. Mabel mocked with a smirk, linking her arm with Noah's. I have a career. I have a lover. What do you have that's worth hurting? Kate trembled violently. Everything she had was given by Noah. Without Noah, she had nothing. You're right. I have nothing. Her eyes reddened, whispering softly. In the next moment, a woman lunged at her, pushing her back onto the shattered glass. She gasped sharply, her body trembling with pain. Don't feel sorry for her. She tried to bribe us to harm Miss Mabel. When we refused, she used a self-inflicted injury to frame Miss Mabel. The few women who had just heard her stepped forward to testify, accusing her of deliberately slandering Mabel. She was utterly defenseless, becoming the target of everyone's blame. Bitch, your heart is so dark. Someone threw a wine glass at her. Mr. Noah doesn't even want her. Yet she still dares to be arrogant. Go back to being your beggar. Don't even think about breaking up Mr. Noah and Miss Mabel. This was followed by more insults and glasses of wine, as everyone knew Noah no longer cared about Kate and could hurt her without restraint. Kate's gaze swept across the cold, angry faces, finally landing on Noah's face. His gaze was calm and indifferent, devoid of any sympathy, even carrying a hint of blame, as if blaming her for once again ruining the atmosphere of the party. In this moment, all her pain was magnified, and her heart felt as if it were being pierced by countless blades. Noah's silence chilled her to the bone. He claimed to just be playing around with Mabel, yet he repeatedly allowed Mabel to hurt her. She kept her eyes fixed on Noah, the light in her eyes gradually dimming until they became hollow and numb. She suddenly felt utterly bored. She had no energy to explain herself and no desire to be the alchemical catalyst for Noah and Mabel's love. Kate struggled to her feet, and seeing that Noah made no move to stop her, she limped toward the door. With each step, the shards of glass beneath her feet dug deeper. Yet she did not pause. She was leaving here, leaving Noah. Kate was hospitalized again, and it took 3 hours to clean the glass fragments from her body. After resting in the hospital for a few days, Kate was discharged. There were still some matters to attend to. She first went to the bank to withdraw some cash and contacted a very small nursing home in the suburbs. She was willing to donate to renovate the nursing home and purchase new ventilators, just to have them take in her brother and keep it confidential. The director gladly agreed, waiting only for her and her brother to obtain new identities before signing the relevant contracts. Kate couldn't take him away. She could only hope Noah would find him later. She went to the hospital to visit her brother and took the opportunity to share this good news with him. As soon as she reached the corridor outside her brother's ward, she saw the caregiver being pulled by a middle-aged couple, who were fiercely guarding the door to the ward. "Miss Kate, you're finally here. These people are trying to take away Mr. Wilson's equipment." Kate quickly stepped forward, pulled apart the people in front of her, and scolded, "What are you doing? This is a hospital. Who allowed you to act recklessly? How dare you touch me? I'll have my son-in-law kill you. Now get out of the way. My son is waiting for the ventilator to save his life." The middle-aged woman forcefully pushed away Kate. Kate stumbled and fell, her vision darkening as she looked up and met Mabel's triumphant gaze. "Kate, you're really in a mess," Mabel said, crossing her arms. "You can't stop my parents. I'm getting that ventilator. Why aren't you helping yet?" Mabel ordered Noah's bodyguards to restrain the nurse, then rushed into the ward, roughly pulling the equipment off her brother. "No, he'll die." Kate jumped up and rushed in to stop it, squeezing to the front and spreading her arms to protect her brother. "Get out. Don't touch my brother." Mabel's mother let out an "oh," and fell to the ground. Mabel worriedly stepped forward to check on her, glaring angrily at Kate. "Miss Kate, why did you push my mother? It was Mr. Noah who asked us to move the equipment. If you're upset, don't take it out on innocent people." "Ouch, that hurts." Mabel's mother clutched her chest and cried out in pain. Noah, upon entering, heard her wailing and lowered his gaze to Mabel. "What happened?" His voice carried a hint of displeasure. "That machine. I don't want it." Mabel looked frustrated. Using reverse psychology, "My brother's injury isn't that serious. We don't absolutely need this machine. Miss Kate has been pushing my mother twice like a madman." Noah instantly figured out the situation and coldly looked at the bodyguard. "Can't even catch a woman." A few people had been hesitant before, not going all out against Kate. Seeing Noah's displeasure, one of them directly grabbed Kate's arm and dragged her to the side. "Noah, no, you have to stop them." Kate watched as the ventilator was ripped off, her voice hoarse from shouting, pleading desperately at Noah. "Noah, you get them out. Don't touch my brother. He'll die without the ventilator. Please, I beg you." Noah grew increasingly sullen, Kate becoming more and more unruly. Like a madwoman. "You're not being good again. Haven't you been taught enough?" He gave her an annoyed sidelong glance. She shuddered, opened her mouth but no sound came out, watching helplessly as Noah's men took away the equipment. Kate was pushed to the ground, and she immediately got up, ran to her brother's side, whose face had turned purple, and quickly pressed the emergency button. There was no response from the other side, and a desperate thought flashed through her mind. Noah was teaching her a lesson by not allowing the doctor to save her brother. "Doctor, help. Someone, please save my brother." Kate screamed hysterically in the corridor. The entire floor deserted. She frantically pressed the elevator button, but it remained stuck on the first floor. She dashed down the stairs, missed a step, and tumbled down. Ignoring the pain, she kept running forward. Floor by floor she descended, running a full 5 stories before finding anyone. By the time she finally found a doctor to check on her brother, he had already died from oxygen deprivation. Kate stood by her younger brother's hospital bed, as if her soul had been drained away, staring blankly at him. Her lips parted, but no tears would come. Turns out, when heartbreak reaches its peak, you can't even cry. She regretted it. She regretted ever going home with Noah that year, regretting having fallen in love with Noah. Kate personally covered her younger brother with the white cloth. Only then did she notice that at some point, her shoes had come off, and her feet were covered in bloodstains. She sat on the ground, wiping her feet with tissues. The blood mixed with dirt only made them dirtier the more she wiped. Suddenly, her emotions collapsed. She clutched the fabric at her chest tightly, opened her mouth to scream, but no sound came out, letting tears silently stream down her face. After who knows how long, she slowly stood up, went home, took a shower, changed into clean clothes, and applied a simple makeup. She wanted to properly see her younger brother off. Kate took her brother's death certificate and sent him to the crematorium. Throughout the entire process, she didn't say a single word, as if she were a walking corpse. When she saw the urn, she smiled with reddened eyes. This was for the best. Her brother no longer had to suffer, and she could take him with her to leave this place. Kate purchased a high-quality burial plot and built a cenotaph for her younger brother, fearing his wandering spirit might have no home to return to in the capital. She sat in front of the tombstone holding the urn for a full day and night, She shared many childhood memories and heartfelt words with her brother. At dawn, Kate left the cemetery holding the urn. Returning to the villa, she paused her hand at the door upon hearing ambiguous sounds from inside. After hesitating for a few seconds, she entered the password and stepped in. The sight that greeted her was utter chaos. Clothes strewn everywhere, a torn silk nightgown hanging from her favorite Christmas tree, and several empty condom boxes tossed into her beloved fruit bowl. The air was thick with a heavy mix of musk and perfume. Mabel sat in Noah's arms, covered in love bites, exuding charm, clinging to his neck while repeatedly calling his name. Noah, you're amazing. I feel so good. Kate walked straight up the stairs without glancing sideways, her deadened heart feeling no pain. The sounds downstairs lasted for a long time. Noah was in extremely high spirits. Mabel begged tearfully for mercy several times. After an indeterminate amount of time, the door was pushed open. Noah walked in. The desire in his eyes had faded. His freshly showered body carried the faint fragrance of shower gel. Yet the shirt couldn't conceal the red marks on his neck. Recalling everything that happened in the living room, Kate felt a wave of nausea churn in her stomach. Utterly disgusted, she covered her mouth and turned away. Retching. Noah, his eyes turned cold. Do you find me disgusting? Kate remained silent, her expression already answering his question. He pinched her chin, leaning in to kiss her lips. She struggled, but he suddenly exerted force, rendering her immobile. I know you're unhappy. I'll make it up to you when I've had my fill. If you don't behave, your brother will suffer. Kate felt her heart tremble violently. Her brother was already dead. Was he going to desecrate his remains? What he didn't know was that her younger brother had already died. She no longer had any weakness left. Noah, let me go. I can't take it anymore, she asked, her voice trembling. Noah's hawk-like eyes darkened with menace as he released his grip, stroking the red marks his fingers had left on her cheeks. Don't talk nonsense. Where would you go without me? Be good. Don't keep provoking me. You can't leave me, and I won't let you go. Kate suddenly recalled a scene she had witnessed long ago. Noah locking someone who had offended him in the basement. Because that person feared snakes, he ordered the room to be filled with them. The screams were relentless. The person terrified into shock. Though he wouldn't treat her that way, he would never let her leave either. Shivering all over, Kate lowered her eyes and lied to him for the second time. You're right. I can't leave you. Noah was pleased and pressed a kiss to her lips. Rest well. Our anniversary is in a few days, and I don't want to see you looking sickly. Kate twitched the corner of her mouth. All right. Perhaps because he had been inside for too long. Mabel grew somewhat impatient and stood at the doorway urging, are we still going to the art exhibition or not? Noah instantly curled the corners of his lips upward. He turned and walked out, wrapping an arm around Mabel as they left. Kate received a call from the household registration office. Her cancellation procedures had been successfully processed. Kate packed a few essentials and walked out of the villa holding her brother's ashes. She completed the account cancellation procedures and obtained a new identity for herself. Using her new identity, she opened a bank account and purchased a plane ticket to Russia. As she boarded the plane, Kate felt an unprecedented sense of relief. Clutching her brother's urn tightly, her eyes welled up with tears. She was no longer Noah's appendage. She was free. Noah accompanied Mabel to the art exhibition. As an invited guest, she stood on stage speaking eloquently, radiant with confidence, her gaze repeatedly drifting toward him. In the past, he would have responded with a smile. Now, he felt an inexplicable unease. As he looked at Mabel's face, his mind involuntarily conjured up Kate's image. 18-year-old Kate was equally confident and radiant. She would take her violin to challenge Germany's principal violinist. And the moment she won, she threw herself into his arms like a flame, warming his cold heart and soul. No matter what difficulties she faced, she always wore a smile and confronted them positively. Her laughter was infectious. Whenever he felt troubled, just seeing her would bring him peace. Her love was passionate and bold. When she didn't like him, she refused him decisively. But once she fell for him, she held nothing back, loving him without restraint. Noah recalled every little moment with Kate, and the corners of his mouth lifted involuntarily. Their decade-long relationship seemed to have fused into each other's bones and blood, making it impossible for either to live without the other. The inexplicable unease in his heart vanished without a trace. Turning his gaze back to Mabel, the smile on his lips deepened as he reached out his hand to her. Mabel quickly walked to his side and nestled into his arms. Did I do well? Noah nodded, dotingly brushing her nose with his finger. Absolutely amazing. I think so too. Mabel confidently lifted her chin and pulled him along to look at the exhibits. For everything she glanced at, Noah bought it without hesitation. Mabel was happy, standing on tiptoe to kiss his cheek the moment she got home, deliberately or unintentionally brushing against him. Mr. Noah, I've tasted the marrow and crave more. I want it. She took the initiative to remove his coat, putting on a domineering act. In the past, Noah was quite taken by this. Her boldness felt fresh and amusing to him. Suddenly, he found it somewhat tiresome. Noah suddenly furrowed his brows, holding her hand, though for some reason, his interest seemed lacking. What's wrong? Mabel looked at him in confusion. Noah gazed at her, and the image of Kate covering her mouth as she retched flashed before his eyes again. His heart trembled inexplicably, filled with unease. Kate found him disgusting. Noah frowned, irritably tugging at his tie. He didn't know what was wrong with him today. He kept thinking about Kate, and there was this inexplicable feeling of losing someone he deeply loved. Seeing Noah silent, Mabel nestled into his arms and said with feigned dominance, I won't allow you to think of other women. If you're with me, you must love me wholeheartedly. Noah hadn't completely lost interest in her yet. Seeing her reddened eyes, he reached out and embraced her in return. Under her repeated seduction, he pressed her against the shoe cabinet and took her fiercely. Noah stuck with her for 3 consecutive days, trying all sorts of positions. Mabel grew more and more excited, but he had already lost interest and was getting tired of her. On the anniversary day, Noah had no intention of bringing Kate. He first went to the company to handle the backlog of files from 3 days, instructing his assistant to oversee the banquet setup. He personally selected Kate's gown and jewelry, had the assistant prepare numerous gifts, and notified everyone to attend in formal attire. Noah had already planned to return to Kate after their wedding anniversary, remarry her, and stay by her side. If she wanted a child, they would have one. Noah sent Kate a message, reminding her to arrive early, then focused on work until 7 p.m. Before leaving the office, the flowers at the banquet were airlifted and dyed in a gradient blue, as Kate preferred. A massive crystal glass slipper stood at the center, filled with gifts Noah had prepared for Kate. Noah wanted to take this opportunity today to let Kate know that he was coming back to her. Thinking of Kate's happy expression, Noah couldn't help but smile. She would surely be moved to tears and throw herself into his arms. Time passed minute by minute. All the guests had arrived, but there was still no sign of Kate. Noah felt restless, uneasy, and panicked. These emotions intertwined in his heart as he took out his phone to contact Kate. I called 5 or 6 times in a row, but no one answered. The messages I sent her also went unanswered. For the past 10 years, Kate had always replied to messages instantly and picked up calls immediately, never losing contact with him. Recalling Kate's recent behavior, Noah finally realized something was wrong. She hadn't taken the initiative to reach out to him for a long time, hadn't smiled at him in ages. Her eyes grew increasingly dim, and she even mentioned wanting to leave. Noah's heart jolted violently, his expression terrifyingly dark. Those around him sensed the change, trembling in fear as they subtly retreated, putting distance between themselves and him. Go home and fetch my wife, Noah commanded coldly, then turned to sit on the high seat, staring wordlessly at the door. An icy aura emanated from him, silencing the banquet hall as everyone held their breath. Noah lowered his head, scrolling through his chat history with Kate. Their last conversation was her pleading with him to stop pursuing Mabel. Noah, please stop chasing that girl. Okay, I'm scared. Scared you'll leave me. Noah, am I not good enough? You said you would never leave me. I don't want to share you with another woman. Will you come home? I'm wearing your favorite pajamas and learned a new position. Will you come back and try it with me? Every word was a plea from a lowered stance. She loved him with such humility and caution, yet he seemed utterly oblivious. Noah's fingers curled slightly as he frowned tightly, the unease in his heart growing stronger. He looked up toward the door just in time to see his assistant, pale-faced, walking in alone. Mr. Noah, the madam isn't home, and her identification documents are missing too, the assistant whispered into his ear. Reporting quietly, Noah struggled to contain his emotions. Speaking coldly, dismiss everyone and send people to guard the hospital. She wouldn't abandon her brother. Noah stood up and left the banquet, driving back to the villa. The villa was eerily quiet, the living room still in disarray from his fierce argument with Mabel. His heart gave a violent shudder as chaotic thoughts flooded his mind. He climbed the stairs, searching every room, but couldn't find that familiar figure anywhere. Kate's belongings were all there, her clothes, her cosmetics, the gifts he'd given her. Everything remained exactly as before, except she was gone. Baby, where are you hiding? Come out now. He sent a voice message to Kate with a trembling voice. I'll get angry if you don't come out soon. I told you not to throw a tantrum. I've had enough playing with Mabel. You need to come home now. If this continues, your little brother will suffer again. Noah stared fixedly at his phone screen, the chat dialogue unresponsive, with only his lonely voice message left hanging. Only when his eyes grew sore from staring at the screen did Noah belatedly realize Kate truly didn't want him anymore. Noah threw his phone aside, lit a cigarette, and took a deep drag. The smoke filled his lungs, making his chest ache even more. He refused to believe Kate had left him. For 10 years, he had been the only one by her side, the entirety of her life. Without him, she had nowhere to go. Perhaps he had gone too far. Kate didn't want to forgive him for the moment. The cigarette in his hand burned out, the ember reaching his fingers. Yet he remained oblivious, desperately racking his brain for Kate's possible whereabouts. The next second, his phone rang. He hurriedly answered the call, forcing his voice to sound steady. Kate, you've gone too far this time. Come back now. After 2 seconds of silence on the phone, the assistant's voice came through. Mr. Noah, we can't find Mrs. Noah. All information related to her has been deleted, leaving only some commonly used apps still logged in. Noah felt his mind go blank as if struck by lightning. Kate, was she planning to disappear completely? What about the hospital? Broadcast it live across the entire network and notify Kate. If she doesn't return, we'll pull the plug on her brother's ventilator. Noah snarled, his face dark with fury. The assistant trembled in fear. Mr. Noah, Mrs. Noah's brother isn't at the hospital. He died a few days ago. Dead. Noah clenched his phone until his knuckles turned white. The scene from that day in the hospital room flashing automatically through his mind. Kate pleaded through tears for him not to remove the ventilator, or her brother would die. How could my brother die? He clearly arranged for new equipment and had doctors on standby ready to perform emergency rescues. Kate has really grown some skills to actually set up a scheme to deceive him. Did she think that by faking her brother's death and hiding after canceling his household registration, he wouldn't be able to find her? He has both wealth and power, with connections reaching to the heavens. Unless you hide in the underworld, he can find you anywhere. Dead. He's dead. The assistant didn't dare to speculate Noah's thoughts and could only brace himself to answer. How many years have you followed me? Noah regained his cold demeanor, his voice icy. 8 years. You should know my way of doing things. The plan to fake death and disappear is full of loopholes, and you couldn't even see through it. You have 1 day to find traces of my wife and her brother. Mr. Noah, your wife's brother is really dead, the assistant said tremblingly, looking at the copy of the death certificate in his hand. Noah had already hung up the phone, completely missing his words. He was at a loss, pacing anxiously, but didn't dare to call Noah again to clarify. Hanging up the phone, Noah felt as if a piece of his heart had been hollowed out. He had long grown accustomed to Kate's presence. Her departure was like carving a piece of flesh from his heart, nearly taking half his life. Noah went to the company, numbing himself with work while waiting for Kate's message. He glanced at his phone from time to time, sending Kate a message. If she returns now and mends her ways, he can let bygones be bygones. Until dawn, Noah never received Kate's message, and his unease grew stronger. He stared at the document but couldn't take in a single word, let alone understand its content. Noah had never felt so agitated. He loosened his tie and swept all the documents off the desk. Kate, how much longer are you going to keep this up? He couldn't control his emotions and suddenly slammed the table, breaking his finger. If you don't come back now, then never come back at all. Noah had never shown his emotions outwardly, but now he couldn't hold back and was becoming somewhat frantic. The loud noise and roar frightened the secretary outside the office. Leaving her face pale, she glanced at the documents in her hand, not daring to knock and enter. Give it to me. Mabel suddenly appeared, taking the documents from the secretary's hands. I'll deliver them for you. You can go attend to other matters. The secretary looked as if a great burden had been lifted, bowing gratefully to Mabel. Thank you, Miss Mabel. Mabel smiled. Noah had granted her special privileges, allowing her to come and go freely anywhere in the company. She didn't even need to knock before entering his office. Holding the documents, she pushed the door open directly, only to be startled by the scene before her. Noah had a livid expression, his eyes bloodshot as he stared fixedly at his phone, the blood on his hand staining the cuff of his shirt sleeve. Mr. Noah, what are you doing? Self-harm. Mabel steadied herself and spoke with her usual haughty tone. Noah turned his head to look at her upon hearing this, his icy gaze startling her into taking a step back. You didn't let me attend the party yesterday, and I obediently stayed away. But I want to know, why are you preparing a surprise for Kate when you're already divorced? Mabel feigned composure as she walked over to him and placed the documents on the desk. I've told you, being with me requires your whole heart. I won't accept sharing a husband with Kate. That worthless woman. She doesn't deserve it. If you insist on keeping ties with her, then let's break up. Mabel turned away angrily, waiting for Noah to comfort her as usual. Every time she mentioned breaking up before, he would get extremely nervous. After she spoke, the office fell into a dead silence. Noah stood up. Instead of comforting her, he stared coldly at her back. She suddenly felt a chill down her spine and instinctively turned around, only to bump into Noah's arms. You don't need to apologize. Mabel didn't finish her sentence before Noah grabbed her by the throat. How dare you compare yourself to my baby? It's only because I spoil you that others flatter and praise you. If I don't, you're not even worth as much as mud. His icy gaze and light tone pierced Mabel's heart like needles. For a moment, she panicked but still mustered the courage to speak. Since I can't compare to Kate, why did you come after me? You don't have to spoil me. Just let me go. Noah smirked, tightening his grip slightly. In this game, you don't get to say when it's over. Mabel felt her heart shudder violently as she suddenly realized she had provoked a madman. Yet she couldn't bear to relinquish the wealth and status already within her grasp. I was just speaking in anger. I didn't really mean to leave. You're hurting me. Mabel softened her tone, meeting his gaze with reddened eyes before looking away within seconds. Noah's bottomless cold stare terrified her. Noah released his grip. Mabel collapsed weakly to the ground as he looked down at her with disdain. Get out. You're not in a good mood today. I'll come back another time. Mabel got up from the ground, finding an excuse to leave. Before she could depart, the assistant's knocking was heard at the door. Mr. Noah, we've investigated everything about the madam. Come in. Noah sat back down, turning toward the door, his blood-stained fingers resting on the desk. Outwardly composed, he was deeply unsettled inside. The assistant walked in, froze for a moment at the sight of the office, glanced over at Mabel, and tightened their grip on the documents in hand. Mabel could only feel the increasingly oppressive atmosphere in the office. An inner voice urged her to leave quickly, and she practically ran out of the Miller Corporation building. In the office, the assistant handed the documents to Noah and stood silently by, breathing cautiously as if wishing they could vanish into thin air. Noah stared at the documents in his hands, his expression growing darker. His crimson eyes burned with fury as his fingers clenched tighter, fresh blood seeping from his wounds and dripping onto the papers, spreading a stain of red. Kate's younger brother is truly dead. Kate, heartbroken, burned the clothes and scarf she had personally made for him, sold the cherished gifts filled with memories, and returned the manor he had given her. She erased all traces of herself and resolutely left him behind. Breathing grew heavy. His heart felt as if it were being relentlessly squeezed by a giant hand. Noah crumpled the documents, veins throbbing violently at his temples, the fury within him on the verge of eruption. Bring Mabel's entire family to the hotel, along with those who bullied Kate and the doctor. The storm is coming. And the assistant was so frightened that cold sweat poured down. Upon hearing his orders, they hurriedly retreated. Noah drove to the cemetery. Fresh flowers lay in front of his younger brother's tombstone. Overcome with emotion, he suddenly looked around. Kate, baby, are you here? Noah didn't realize how badly his voice was trembling. It's my fault for getting you hurt. Come back, and I'll avenge you. Response. Noah's only reply was the howling wind. His body swayed slightly as he stubbornly continued calling out Kate's name. Stop looking. There's only me here. I'm the one who brought the flowers. The cemetery worker approached him, placing the bouquet in his hands before his younger brother's tombstone. Who erected the headstone? Do you know where she is? Noah pressed. The worker shook his head. Miss Kate only came once, keeping vigil here for a full day and night. Before leaving, she gave me some money to bring flowers to her brother 3 times a day. He loved sunflowers. Noah staggered back, his heart aching with bitterness. If you see her, notify me immediately. Noah left behind a business card and an unlimited credit card. Noah drove around the city's outer ring twice before finally heading to the hotel. Mabel and the others sat in the banquet hall. Their expressions varied. Mabel was somewhat afraid, worried that Noah might lose his temper with her again. When she saw him walk in with a calm expression, her anxious heart settled back down. She was the first to stand up, her tone neither warm nor cold. Mr. Noah, are you in a better mood now? Did you bring us here to apologize to me? Noah's calm face flickered with a hint of coldness. He had given Mabel too much face, which made her so audacious and reckless. Thinking of Kate's suffering, he wished he could tear Mabel apart. He let out a cold laugh and crooked his finger at Mabel. Come here. Mabel pretended to walk over reluctantly. You're not allowed to lose your temper with me anymore, or I'll never speak to you again. Mabel had just approached him when he slapped her to the ground. How dare you harm my wife? Do you have a death wish? Mabel was stunned by the blow but still maintained her haughty demeanor, tears welling up without falling. What are you talking about? I don't understand. Is that so? Noah looked at her as if she were already dead. It doesn't matter if you don't understand. Someone will help you. Noah waved his hand, and several bodyguards stepped forward. They Mabel up and began slapping her face repeatedly. Before long, her face swelled, teeth fell out, and blood trickled from the corners of her mouth. Her aloof and arrogant facade crumbled instantly as tears streamed down her face. She begged incoherently, "Stop hitting me. Please stop. Do you understand now?" Noah sat in an elevated position, legs crossed, his tone still light and teasing as he watched her. Mabel trembled violently, the intense pain making her afraid to continue lying. I targeted Kate because I loved you. I thought you loved me too, and I wanted to clear the obstacles for us. Noah laughed in anger. It seems you've never understood the situation. To me, you were just a little plaything for amusement. The only person I've ever loved is Kate. That's not true. You love me. You'd do anything for me. You even divorced Kate. But as she met Noah's icy gaze, her voice grew weaker and less confident. Noah just thought Kate was being disobedient during that time and wanted to teach her a lesson, never expecting it to become this bitch's excuse to hurt Kate. Thinking of Kate's desperate and wounded gaze, his heart felt as if it were being gnawed by countless ants, and his entire body grew even colder. Noah couldn't be bothered to waste words on her. He threw the documents to the ground, saying, "Repay the harm done to my wife tenfold." No, don't do this to me. Noah, this is premeditated harm. It's illegal. Mabel struggled and begged for mercy. I was wrong. I truly know I was wrong. Don't touch me. Don't you dare touch me. Mabel lost control of her emotions, screaming at the top of her lungs. The bodyguards ignored her pleas, fetching large blocks of ice from the freezer and forcing her to kneel naked on them. Mabel was both freezing and terrified, passing out in less than 2 minutes. She was revived with cold water, forced to kneel for the full duration, then taken to the stairs where she was made to roll down 10 times before being brought to the hall to receive 60 lashes of the Miller family discipline. Mabel was on the verge of death, but the doctors gave her special treatment to alleviate her condition. She had to endure such pain every single day. Noah ordered someone to expose her carefully crafted inspirational persona of overcoming disability, uncovering evidence of her past actions of clinging to the wealthy and defrauding donations, which was then posted online, turning her into a despised fraud. Next were Mabel's family members, who accused Kate of hiring people to threaten them. Noah then summoned over a dozen thugs to terrorize them in every possible way, immediately giving her father a heart attack. When he was taken to the hospital, he couldn't find any medical staff to help and could only wait silently for death. Mabel's mother falsely accused Kate of pushing her down. Noah then had people push her to the ground over and over again, dozens of times, breaking her tailbone and both legs. The women who had harmed Kate and the medical staff bribed by Mabel gathered together. Noah made them harm each other. Whoever could endure till the end would leave alive. Life and death were at stake. There was no room for mercy. They wrestled with each other, pulling hair, slapping faces, cursing each other with the most vicious words, harming one another with the cruelest means. There will be no winner in this game. Noah won't allow anyone to leave either. This is just the beginning. Noah watched the scene before him coldly, his heart still hollow. They had repaid the harm done to Kate, but he still owed Kate a life. How could he ever repay that? Noah left the hotel in despair. He had sealed off the banquet hall, trapping those people inside, where they would endure endless torment every day, until his Kate forgave them. Noah drove aimlessly, the snowflakes falling outside the window weighing heavily on his heart, as the desperate voice of Kate echoed in his ears. Noah, why didn't you save our child? Don't I even have the right to have a child in this marriage? Noah's heart ached more and more. He had never imagined things would spiral out of his control. Overwhelmed by emotion, he abruptly slammed on the brakes, stopping the car in the middle of the road, and began frantically pounding the steering wheel. His sudden stop nearly caused a rear-end collision, with the driver behind honking incessantly. But he seemed oblivious. Any drivers who got out to confront him were quickly intimidated by his icy glare and retreated. Traffic police who arrived at the scene found him unresponsive and could do little but stand by, directing other vehicles to steer clear. After what felt like an eternity, as snow blanketed the entire car roof, Noah remained motionless. He had passed out at some point without realizing it. At this time, Kate had departed from Russia, transferred flights 4 times, and arrived in Germany, settling in a remote small town. Having been by Noah's side for 10 years, she still had some understanding of him. He wouldn't search for her in the places she had visited first. She could quietly spend some time here. She hoped Mabel could capture Noah's heart, making him stop looking for her, so they could become strangers from then on. Kate bought a small villa, decorated her new home according to her preferences, and specifically prepared a bedroom for her brother, placing his ashes inside. She went shopping for daily necessities, filling the refrigerator with food, feeling inexplicably cheerful. From now on, she could start a new life here. Kate had no life truly her own from the moment she was brought into the Miller household. Everything about her became dependent on Noah. Yet deep down, she knew full well that the first few years without him would not be easy. All those academic qualifications and everything from the past vanished along with Kate into what once was. After packing everything, she took out the violin and gently caressed it. The only thing she had taken from the villa, crafted for her by Noah himself. Not for his sake, but because she had grown accustomed to it. She gently drew the bow across the violin, still playing a sorrowful melody that felt oppressive. Gradually, the tune became more graceful and light, until every dancing note seemed to whisper of hope. As the piece ended, her mood grew even brighter. Clap, clap, clap. A round of applause broke out. Kate turned her gaze toward the sound. Outside the courtyard wall below stood a tall, handsome man with striking features. His eyes sparkled with laughter, filled with admiration and delight. It sounds beautiful. The most story-filled piece I've ever heard. The man spoke in flawless Mandarin, introducing himself with easy familiarity. My name is Quinn. I live next door. Pleased to meet you. Kate smiled faintly, keeping her distance as she replied, thank you. Quinn wasn't offended, his face still full of smiles. My apologies for the abruptness. Sorry to disturb you. We'll meet again another time. Kate nodded and closed the window. She has no intention of making friends for now and just wants to live her life quietly. Back in the country, Noah woke up in the hospital. The blinding white light left him momentarily dazed, and he instinctively blurted out, have my wife come to the hospital to stay with me. The assistant trembled, his face as pale as a corpse, and replied in a shaky voice, Madam has already passed away. Noah, his eyes instantly cleared, and the events of the past few days flooded his mind, making his mood unbearably agitated again. Kate ran away from home, ignoring the doctor's objections. He insisted on leaving the hospital and had the villa demolished and renovated to restore it to the way it was before Mabel had ever set foot in it. Batch after batch of people were sent to search for Kate, but none could find any trace of her. It was as if she had vanished into thin air. Sitting in his office every day, he showed no interest in anything, abandoning multi-million-dollar projects on a whim. In just over a month, he caused the company's value to evaporate by tens of billions. Noah only realized now that it was never Kate who couldn't live without him, but rather he who couldn't live without Kate. He stared at the blue sky and white clouds outside the floor-to-ceiling window, each cloud resembling Kate's face. He gazed obsessively, feeling his heart grow emptier by the moment. Miller Grandpa stormed into the office with the financial statements, just in time to catch him staring blankly out the window. Noah, what have you been doing this past month? What promises did you make to me before taking over the company? Miller Grandpa angrily threw the reports at him, his eyes wide with fury. It's just a few billion. We'll earn it back. Noah said nonchalantly. You fool. Are you going to ruin the company over some worthless woman? Miller Grandpa raised his hand to strike him, but the icy glare in Noah's eyes made him freeze mid-motion. Miller Grandfather knew his grandson's temperament all too well. When he went wild, he cared about nothing. Now that his wings had fully grown, even his grandfather could no longer restrain him. Grandfather, she is my wife. Noah spoke calmly, his voice gentle. Yet it inexplicably sent a chill down Miller grandfather's spine. You're already divorced. In her eyes, you're nothing but a traitor who betrayed your marriage vows. An outsider who stood by indifferently while she suffered humiliation and despair. Miller grandfather took a step back, each word piercing Noah's heart like a dagger. She won't forgive you, much less return to your side. Instead of playing the role of a repentant lover here, you'd be better off focusing on your responsibilities. Kate may be one of a kind, but women who resemble Kate at first glance are everywhere. From ancient times to the present, the Miller family has never produced a devoted person, and you won't be either. Grandfather Miller stopped at the right point, looking at Noah's increasingly gloomy face. He didn't continue and turned to leave. The office returned to silence. Noah sat there in a daze, his fingers tightening inexplicably. He grabbed his coat and hurriedly left, driving straight into the building housing the registry office. The car was embedded in the wall, leaving the lobby in complete disarray. Noah got out of the car and rushed toward the office. When a security guard tried to stop him, he threw a punch, knocking the man to the ground. Like a man possessed, he grabbed Kate's account closure officer, his dark eyes burning with murderous intent. Tell me, Kate's new identity. I can't say, the officer stammered, terrified and unwilling to break the rules. Noah lost his patience and seized her by the throat. I'll give you one last chance. Talk or die. His fierce demeanor resembled a demon from hell, exuding a chilling coldness. Due to the nature of his work, his personal information couldn't be found through normal inquiries, Kate's included. He couldn't wait any longer, nor could he afford to. Grandpa Miller's words served as a wake-up call. He needed to find Kate quickly and bring her back to his side. I beg you, please don't kill me, the staff member pleaded, trembling as he opened the file for Noah to see. Maria, Kate's new identity. He memorized all the information after just one glance. Noah let go, turned to leave, and immediately encountered a swarm of rushing police officers. They arrested him on charges of provoking trouble. He showed no reaction and followed them back to the police station. On the way, he sent his assistant Kate's information, asking him to investigate her whereabouts. News of Noah's arrest spread quickly, with discussions about what crime he committed trending at the top of hot searches. Some took the opportunity to dig up past incidents, exposing his dark history. He used illegal means to suppress others as well. He unlawfully detained and physically harmed others. He improperly sought benefits, resorting to cunning and plunder. Some also exposed Noah's ex-wife Kate as a beggar, even spreading malicious rumors about her, claiming she was discarded by Noah after he grew tired of her, and fled with Noah's secrets. For a time, the entire internet was abuzz with discussions about Noah's affairs. The Miller family didn't act immediately to quell the rumors, leading many to believe they were abandoning Noah. The attacks on Noah have become increasingly fierce, at one point causing Miller Group's stock price to plummet, resulting in heavy losses for shareholders. Noah paid no attention to any of this, quietly waiting in the detention center for his assistant's investigation results. On the third day, the assistant brought back news that Kate was last seen at a German airport. Noah felt instantly uplifted. He followed the procedures as required and was released on bail from the police station. Reporters waiting at the police station entrance swarmed in, with camera flashes going off incessantly, firing one sharp question after another. Mr. Noah, it said you've been searching for your ex-wife because she possesses some crucial evidence against you. Is that true? Mr. Noah, do you have any explanation for this arrest? As a top tycoon, have you considered the consequences of your actions? Will the Miller Group abandon you? What means did you use to force your ex-wife into divorce? Is her disappearance related to you? Noah suddenly halted his steps, casting a cold glance at the last reporter who asked the question. The reporter's body suddenly trembled, a chill spreading from the soles of his feet, and he quickly retreated from the crowd. Noah's gaze was terrifying. Noah struck like thunder, tracking down those who posted online, capturing them one by one and bringing them to the Miller family's old residence, along with the second uncle from the collateral branch who had incited them. He made them go live on camera, forcing them to recount the entire process of how they had slandered him. Noah sat behind them, fingers tapping on his knees, watching them expressionlessly without uttering a word the entire time. The atmosphere in the room was suffocatingly tense, to the point where even breathing had to be done cautiously. Those people trembled in fear, the timid ones even wetting their pants. As for those who Kate slandered scandal, their tongues were cut out and they were thrown to Africa. They didn't even get a chance to clarify or apologize. After handling the cyberbullying incident, Noah began targeting those who took the opportunity to suppress the Miller family conglomerate. Within a month, he successively brought down 5 or 6 companies. The Miller family conglomerate seized the opportunity to annex their assets and partnerships, expanding its business development. After settling all this, Noah bought a plane ticket to Germany, determined to devote himself entirely to finding Kate. He believed Kate loved him. He will definitely bring Kate back. A small town in Germany. Kate has been here for 3 months and has grown accustomed to life here, gradually becoming familiar with the neighbors around her. The one who greeted her that day, Quinn, came here with his remarried mother and has a mixed-race sister named May. May was just 10 years old, with fair and delicate features, and 2 adorable dimples when she smiled. She loved the violin, and every time she listened to Kate play, her face would light up with delight. Kate began teaching her to play the violin, while Quinn took the opportunity to stay by their side every day. Quinn's gaze at Kate grew increasingly complex, sometimes staring at her in a daze. Every time Kate noticed, he would scratch his head sheepishly and find an excuse to leave. Quinn and Noah were completely different types of people. He was full of vitality, as comforting as warm sunshine. Being with him always felt relaxing. There was no need to guess his moods, worry about him suddenly ignoring her, or carefully suppress her own feelings. One day after teaching May the piano, Quinn walked over with 2 cups of coffee and handed one to Kate. "Maria, would you like to open a violin studio? There's a shop for sublease in town that I think would be perfect for you." Kate paused for a moment. The money she took with her was what she had earned by learning investments from Noah, and she hadn't touched the 100 million Noah had given her. Although she had no worries about food or clothing, she still wanted to do something. She nodded immediately. "Okay." With Quinn's help, Kate rented the shop. Quinn's siblings came to help her clean and decorate every day, wearing paper dust hats and painting murals on the walls. Kate accidentally splashed paint on Quinn's face. Quinn instinctively wiped it with her hand, instantly turning into a colorful mess, making Kate and May burst into laughter. Quinn, realizing it belatedly, took out her phone to check and then threatened to paint May's face as well. May, laughing, hid behind Kate, and the 3 of them played and laughed together, thoroughly enjoying themselves. Suddenly, Kate's smile froze on her face. The paint bucket in her hand fell to the ground, and blue paint splattered everywhere, staining her canvas shoes. Kate stared fixedly at the person standing at the door, her eyes misty with unshed tears, her fingers curled tightly, nails digging deep into her palms. She never expected to see Noah again so soon. There was no joy of reunion, no happiness at meeting again, only a thick, lingering fear enveloping her heart. Noah, under his calm gaze, lay a surge of anger. He crooked his finger at Kate and spoke softly. "Come here, baby." Kate didn't move. Quinn stepped forward to block her, politely urging Noah. "Sir, this is private property. Please leave." Noah narrowed his eyes, his gaze dangerous as he sized up the taller Quinn. "Kate, I'm here to take you home." He ignored Noah. Quinn frowned upon hearing this, turned to look at Kate. Kate paled and forced a smile as she explained. "He's my ex-husband. Kate was my former name." "Darling, you're being naughty again. When did we ever get divorced? You're just on a break. We can remarry anytime." Noah interrupted her, gesturing for her to come closer. Still wearing that same condescending expression, Kate stepped out from behind Quinn and locked eyes with Noah. Noah's heart ached sharply. Her gaze held fear and a trace of disgust, but not a shred of love remained. A terrifying thought emerged. His little beggar no longer loved him. No, impossible. She's just angry. Noah rarely set aside his pride, softening his tone. "Let's talk. There are some things I can explain." Kate glanced at Quinn. Quinn understood immediately and led May out. "I'll be right outside. Call me if you need anything." Kate nodded gratefully. Noah looked sullen, unwilling to see Kate so close to another man. Only Kate and Noah remained in the room. "Mr. Noah, what do you want to talk about?" Kate responded distantly. Noah felt a pang of frustration in his chest. "Don't call me that. I was wrong in the past. I've learned about what Mabel did to you, and I've avenged you." Noah told Kate about the fate of Mabel's family, as well as those who had mocked her openly or secretly. All had met their deserved ends. "Baby, I know you've always wanted children. We'll have them as soon as we go back. As many as you want." When mentioning children, Noah grew emotional. "As long as you come back with me, I won't stop you from doing anything. From now on, you'll be the only one by my side. I don't love Mabel. I was just playing around with her. I never thought you'd get so angry." Kate listened quietly to Noah's monologue, her heart utterly unmoved, as if none of it concerned her. Only when children were mentioned did her heart ache for a fleeting moment. Mr. Noah, none of that matters anymore. Kate interrupted him. I've let go, and I hope you'll let me go too. I don't love you anymore. You can force me to go back. You can imprison me by your side. You can even kill me. But in my heart, I don't want to be with you. Kate spoke word by word, her tone exceptionally firm, meeting Noah's gaze without flinching. She watched as his expression shifted from hope to anger and finally to helplessness. Whatever his reaction might be, she no longer cared. Noah stood frozen in place, silent for a long time, the light in his eyes gradually dimming. Before coming, he had thought about forcibly taking her back, as long as he could keep her by his side. After hearing Kate's words, Noah hesitated. Deep down, he actually felt afraid to force her. He had never experienced such a feeling of being at a loss before. Kate waited for a moment, seeing no movement from him, then walked toward the door. As she brushed past him, he grabbed her wrist. A cold touch swept over her. Kate frowned. Your hand is too cold. It's making me uncomfortable. Noah instinctively let go. Baby, do you really not want to come back with me? Kate rubbed her chilled wrist and shook her head. I don't want to. She kept walking forward without looking back. She never wanted to live her old life again. Never wanted to be Noah's appendage. Watching Kate and Quinn walk away, he clutched his chest tightly, feeling emptier and more pained by the second. Noah stood in the studio for an hour before finally turning to leave. His heart wrestled with indecision. Should he forcibly take Kate away or not? In the past, he would have chosen to forcibly take her back, as long as she was by his side. But now, he actually felt a glimmer of hope. He wanted her to return to him out of love, just like before, and he wanted her to be happy. The two conflicting thoughts in his mind kept arguing, buzzing in his ears. He found a bar, ordered a table full of strong liquor, and downed one glass after another. The strong liquor burned his throat, yet it couldn't dispel the gloom in his heart. The more he drank, the more his heart ached. Leaning back on the sofa, he smiled as his eyes reddened. How had he let things come to this? They had loved each other so deeply. She hadn't wanted to leave his side for even a step. So why had he gone and lost her? 10 years ago, he was surrounded and beaten by his cousin's men on the street. And it was Kate who pretended to call the police and saved him. Her clothes were tattered but impeccably clean, and her bright, sparkling eyes made him remember her at just one glance. Being a beggar yet so clean. Do people even give you money? He teased her. She lifted her chin and retorted unhappily. What's it to you? I have my own ways to fill my stomach. Unlike you, beaten to a pulp yet still finding time to meddle in others' business. He didn't have time to answer before the butler and his men took him away. It was half a month before he saw her again. She emerged from the supermarket with her younger brother, patting her stomach contentedly. Noah smiled. She was truly clever, dressing neatly to sample food at the supermarket, filling her stomach while maintaining the dignity of a beggar. His interest in her grew stronger. After following her for a few days, he sought an opportunity to take her home. Finally, the day came when her younger brother fell ill. Seizing the opportunity to repay her for saving his life, he took her and her brother back to his home. His monotonous life became interesting from then on. They grew up together. She was very intelligent and quick to learn anything. He wanted her to stay by his side forever, but she refused, saying she would only be with someone she loved. Later they fell in love, and she said she would stay with him forever, to become a proper Miller wife. She dimmed her radiance, smoothed her edges, and devoted herself wholeheartedly to being his supportive partner. But he grew tired, craving novelty, and was drawn to Mabel, who reminded him of her younger self. By the time he realized his mistake, it was already too late. She said she doesn't love him anymore. Even if she went back to him, she wouldn't love him again. So this is how painful it feels to be hurt by someone you love. Back then, Kate must have been so heartbroken. Noah closed his eyes, shedding tears for the first time, then chugged a bottle of alcohol while murmuring to himself, Kate, don't leave me. He didn't know how much time had passed or how much he'd drunk. Noah only felt everything around him begin to sway as the burning in his chest grew more intense. When he opened his mouth, he vomited a mouthful of blood. A wave of intense dizziness hit him, and he plunged into darkness. Noah woke up 3 days later with severe stomach perforation. His entire abdominal cavity was filled with alcohol and blood. He had nearly died. The hospital contacted his domestic assistant through his identification. The assistant rushed over to see him and almost didn't recognize Noah, who looked neither human nor ghost. Mr. Noah, what happened to you? Kate refuses to go back with me. Noah spoke very softly. So softly it was almost inaudible. The assistant remained expressionless, as if everything had been within his expectations. He said nothing and quietly sat by the side. Noah looked at him, frowned, and asked, "What should I do?" The assistant was flattered, as this was the first time Noah had asked him. He quickly stood up and said respectfully, "Mr. Noah, what I'm about to say might not be pleasant to hear, but I've been by your side for 8 years, watching you and Miss Kate go through everything together." The assistant deliberately paused, secretly observing Noah's reaction. Seeing that he wasn't angry, he continued, "You two once loved each other passionately, weathered storms together, but couldn't endure the mundane life. Miss Kate is gone, and she won't be coming back. I could help you forcibly bring her back and imprison her." The assistant lowered his eyes and said seriously, "But she would never forgive your betrayal." Noah shook his head. "I want her to come back willingly." The assistant looked at him in surprise and suggested that Noah win her back by making her fall in love with him again. It was the only way. Noah suddenly perked up. He immediately checked out of the hospital and bought Kate's neighboring villa. Kate lived in constant fear, terrified that Noah might suddenly appear and take her away. 3 days passed. Noah hadn't shown up. She was finally able to relax, only to suddenly discover the house next door had changed owners. Noah appeared before Kate holding homemade chocolate, a faint smile playing on his stern face. "Little beggar, your favorite chocolate." Kate was stunned. He hadn't called her that in years. Compared to baby or darling, she much preferred hearing him call her little beggar. Only during that time was their relationship at its purest. "I'm controlling my sugar intake and haven't eaten chocolate for a long time." Kate coldly refused before turning and heading back to her room. Noah's smile froze on his face, not deepening into a frown, as he directly threw the entire plate onto the ground. "Little beggar, drink some apple juice. I bought your favorite flowers for you." Kate, little beggar, good morning. From that day on, Noah kept hovering around her, bringing food, flowers, and gifts. The small courtyard of the villa was so packed by him that it became difficult to walk through. She thought about fleeing overnight, leaving this place, thinking Noah would still find her. She abandoned the idea. Their issues needed resolution eventually. Noah's persistence wore her out. The things she once loved most now felt irritating when Noah presented them to her again. A month passed. Kate never responded. Yet Noah kept persisting. Every time Kate didn't want something, Noah would throw it away directly. Yet he would still insist on bringing something else the next day. On this day, Kate was playing the violin in the house. Noah came again. He leaned against the doorframe, the sunlight falling on him and casting a golden halo around him. He was still as handsome as ever, but she no longer felt that flutter in her heart. She just glanced at him indifferently and continued playing the violin. As the piece ended, Noah climbed over the wall and jumped in, looking up at her. "Little beggar, today is your birthday. Whatever you want, I'll give it to you. Any wish you have, I'll make it come true. I know you're still angry with me, but I'll keep trying until you forgive me." "Noah, come up here." Kate's demeanor was unusually calm today. She didn't want to delay any longer and intended to make a final break with Noah. Noah felt a surge of joy in his heart and quickly ran forward. This was his first time stepping into Kate's villa. Though the house wasn't large, it was arranged very cozily, giving him a warm feeling of coming home. Suddenly, he thought to himself that it would be quite nice to live here. His assistant said he couldn't lead an ordinary life, but he would prove with facts that he could. As long as he's with Kate, he's willing to live any kind of life. His expression softened, the gloom in his eyes gradually dissipating as he followed Kate into a room. "Noah, I want my brother to come over now." Kate suddenly spoke, her voice surprisingly calm as she pointed at the urn on the table. Noah's face paled slightly. Kate pointed to a small box nearby and said, "I want my child to be born safely." Noah's face turned even paler. Kate removed her coat, revealing a back covered in scars. "I want my back to be smooth and flawless again." Noah's face was now completely drained of color. His fists clenched tightly in regret. "I don't think my knees will hurt when it rains." "Enough. Stop talking." Noah interrupted Kate with agitation, his eyes reddening. "Don't say another word. Noah, we're over. The damage is done and can't be undone. What's past is past. I don't love you anymore. I stopped loving you a long time ago. No matter what you do, I won't love you again. My only wish is for you to leave my world and never appear in it again." "No, you still love me." The violin I gave you. You've kept it with you all this time. Crack. Kate raised the violin in her hand and smashed it violently onto the ground. The strings snapping. Wood splinters flying everywhere. I just got used to using it. But now I realize its tone has changed. It's time to replace it. Kate's icy, merciless gaze pierced Noah's heart. He had never been in such a sorry state. Almost fleeing from Kate's home, Noah sprinted down the street, the cold wind howling in his ears as if piercing his heart. A car appeared behind him at some point, heading straight toward him. With a loud crash, Noah's body was sent flying, landing heavily as blood spilled from his mouth. The car came to a halt, then abruptly reversed, running over Noah once again and crushing both his legs. Mr. Noah, stop. The assistant arrived just in time, preventing the car from hitting Noah a third time. He quickly rushed Noah to the hospital and sent someone to pursue the fleeing driver. Noah was in critical condition, hanging by a thread, yet he kept calling out Kate's name. The assistant pleaded with Kate, hoping she would visit Noah for the sake of their 10-year relationship and help him regain consciousness. Kate refused. She couldn't keep giving Noah hope. Whether he lived or died was his own fate. Call her heartless or call her cruel. She wanted no further connection with Noah. Noah ultimately survived and was sent back home by his assistant. The person who hit him was sent by Miller's grandfather. He had always been flawless, with only one weakness, Kate. Miller grandpa watched him grow increasingly powerful and slip out of control. Feeling more and more panicked, Miller grandfather wanted to regain control of the Miller family and deliberately arranged for Mabel to get close to Noah. Every smile and gesture of Mabel was personally trained by him, just like Kate from back then. Taking advantage of Noah's complete focus on Kate, he struck him down mercilessly. Noah ultimately survived and returned. Learning the whole truth, he lashed out like a madman, brutally tormenting everyone involved. Noah sent Miller's grandfather to the compound in northern Myanmar, making him the lowest and most despised slave, stripping away the power and status he cherished. Miller's grandfather lasted only 3 days before taking his own life. Noah felt neither joy nor sorrow, his heart utterly hollow. Standing at the pinnacle of the circle, he suddenly grew weary and disillusioned. He transferred all his assets to Kate, hoping she would live carefree, and gave his assistant a sum of money to retire early. Looking at everything familiar, I remembered Kate again, the scars on her back, her despair and indifference. He realized he had not yet been punished. He took off his shirt, picked up the cane, and lashed himself fiercely, each strike delivered with full force, soon leaving his flesh torn and bloody. Little beggar, I'm sorry, little beggar, I love you. While punishing himself, he apologized to Kate. Without Kate in City A, he couldn't stay for even a single day. Dragging his wounded body, Noah set out to retrace the paths he once walked with Kate, picking up fragments of their past happiness one by one. Far away in Germany, Kate successfully opened a studio, teaching both children and adults to play the violin. Her violin was Quinn who found it for her, and she found it quite comfortable to use. As a token of gratitude, she gave Quinn a watch. She always thought Quinn was unemployed, but later discovered that he was actually the former heir of a big family in City A, which was once more powerful. However, they chose to emigrate, moving all their assets abroad. None of this had anything to do with her. She only considered Quinn a friend. Life grew sweeter with each passing day, and she completely emerged from the shadows of her past. She heard about Noah again one afternoon as she sat in the yard, sipping coffee and basking in the sun. Noah's lawyer walked in and handed her a document. Mr. Noah is dead. He left all his assets to you. Here are the documents. Donate them on my behalf, and establish a foundation dedicated to helping children and women. May there be no more little beggars in this world. Kate took a sip of coffee and spoke calmly. The lawyer then placed a thick photo album on the table. Mr. Noah left this for you. He retraced the paths you once walked together, searching for your memories. He fell off a cliff trying to retrieve this album. The lawyer sighed and left. Before he even stepped out of the yard, he saw Kate throw the album into the trash. Until Noah died, she refused to forgive him. Kate's expression remained unchanged as she finished her coffee, then got up and returned to her room. Noah, rest in peace. May we never meet again in the next life.